Thanks for your interest in the University of Wisconsin-Madison online application assistance. Uh, Here's what our agenda is going to look like. We're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk about why the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'll do some quick program overviews, talk about cost, admissions requirements, the application process, and then we'll take some time at the end to take everyone's questions. My name's Sarah Klunder. I'm the Director of Recruitment Strategies for the Division of Continuing Studies at UW-Madison. We're going to also be sure to pay attention to what we talk about between the difference between online and on campus. They're two different applications, and I'll make sure to point that out when we get to that point. Our online courses provide an opportunity to earn a degree from a world-class University of Wisconsin-Madison while taking all of your courses completely remote. Students enjoy the same high caliber quality of courses, curriculum, and faculty as our on-campus offerings. They can participate in graduation ceremonies with our on-campus students, and they earn their diploma from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. It doesn't say online anywhere. They'll have the flexibility to do your coursework from anywhere in the world, which makes it a great option for those who work full-time or part-time or maybe need some additional flexibility. Another benefit is direct admission into the Wisconsin School of Business. Our online program can accommodate many more students than the traditional on-campus in-person business programs, which means we can do a direct admission right from your application, not a second application once you've been admitted to the university. It's an important differentiator. We also offer a pathway to admission for students who may not be admissible yet. The key piece is yet. We'll explain that in more depth a little bit later in the presentation. During the online orientation process, admitted students will be assigned a personal academic advisor who will be with the student every step of their academic journey at UW-Madison. Your academic advisor will help you pick classes each semester. They're going to help coach you through challenges, both academic and personal, as well as they'll connect you with campus resources as needed, and maybe even give you a little poke when it's time to do something. What is UW-Madison? Online. It's fully online bachelor's degrees. The curriculum and faculty are exactly the same as I mentioned. It's 100% online. There is no requirement to ever come to campus. But we're looking for students who have already done a little bit of college, someone who would be a transfer student, or in some cases, someone who might be seeking a second bachelor's degree. It's a flexible part-time enrollment opportunity. It can work for somebody who's employed, a caregiver, deployed. It also works for somebody who's wants to go full-time and be a full-time student. It works for students that are coming out of doing a 2-year associates and have gone full-time. There's an opportunity to continue going full-time with this program as well. Key piece, it's flexible and it works around what you need out of a program. There's currently 3 programs that are in the UW-Madison Online portfolio. They're all from the Wisconsin School of Business. Remember, it's that same education as if you came on campus. We have a bachelor's in business administration in human resources, management, or marketing. Cost. It's actually cheaper to go online than it is to go on campus. It's $500 per credit, whether you're an international student, if you live in some other state, or you live in Wisconsin. In addition, there's some small fees during that first semester. There's a new student fee. There's also a document fee and an application fee. However, if you meet with an enrollment coach, which is someone on my team, we're going to provide you with an application fee waiver to get rid of that $70 application fee. So I'll say this over and over again, meet with the coach, leverage the resources, let us help you. It's a very customized student experience when you go work with your enrollment coach. They are going to be really thinking about you and your needs and best next steps for you. We do offer financial aid. There's a minimum of 6 credits per semester in order to be eligible for federal and state financial aid. All right, let's jump in and let's take a look at what those admissions requirements are. Our admissions review is a holistic process, which means everything is going to be taken into consideration. While counselors are looking at the academic history when reviewing your transcripts, they're also looking to see if your performance has trended upward over time. I think we've all heard of a student who had like a really bad first semester, but if you look at it and then they see like, wow, the next 2 or 3 or 4 semesters, you did really well and you really brought those grades up, that's an upward trend. Transfer students are required to have 12 transferable credits after high school. And you can tell if your credits are transferable by using Transferology. It's a great tool. We'll be sure to send out the link when we send you this video, but that's one way you can look up your courses and see how they would already transfer in. I will say, if we haven't evaluated a course, if you're joining us from some, school that's farther away or maybe a smaller school, we might not have had anyone transfer in that course yet. So don't look at Transferology and think, oh my gosh, it's not in there. It's not going to work for me. Please, please, please work with your enrollment coach. We do offer unofficial credit eval. And so that's something that we can have our academic advisor do a guesstimate on whether or not they think the course is going to come in. In addition to those 12 credits, students must have taken or prove that they can test into college level algebra. At our school, it's Math 112, and that is super important. They're also going to be looking at your high school courses. Did you take algebra in high school? Did you take plane geometry? We'd really like to see you have completed a single foreign language 2 years in high school or 2 semesters in college. However, you could be reviewed and admitted without this requirement. It's just going to be required in order for you to complete graduation. International students are required to have English composition course or an ESL course at a U.S. institution where English is the main language of instruction. If students attended a secondary school or the equivalent of high school here in the U.S. that taught exclusively in English, then you don't have to complete an English composition course or ESL course at a U.S. institution. However, you're going to need to provide documentation that their secondary school was taught exclusively in English. I'm going to pause there and say, if you're worried about whether or not you meet any of these requirements, please meet with your enrollment coach. Our staff is highly trained. We can connect you with an academic advisor. We can take a look. We can meet with your current academic advisor if you're enrolled somewhere else and help make sure that you're on the path to be admitted. But what happens if you think maybe you don't yet meet those admissions requirements? We are so proud to offer a pathway to admission. And this means we still want you to apply. Even if you think you're missing one of these requirements, your application is going to be reviewed. And if there is something missing, our admissions team is going to tell you exactly what's missing. They're going to be postponing your application and they're going to be putting you in our pathway to admission plan. You're going to have clear next steps that will fulfill the necessary criteria for admission. You're going to connect with your enrollment coach and you're going to come up with a plan. We actually have a highly trained academic advisor on our team who works exclusively with postponed students to make sure you get exactly what course you need at whatever your chosen institution is in order to be ready to be admissible to UW-Madison. You'll be given 12 months to complete this requirement, and we'll talk really carefully about what the conditions of the pathway are. For example, maybe your grades haven't been the best, but you're a new you, and we believe in you, and we would love to see you show us that you're ready to be here by taking 2 classes and getting a B or higher. Maybe you can see the example on the screen. Maybe you haven't taken college algebra yet. So we'll connect you with a 2 year institution. We have partners all over the United States that we can connect you with. We have some partners right here in the Madison area we can connect you with. We have partners that don't charge out of state tuition that we can have you take the equivalent of UW-Madison's Math 112 or college algebra, demonstrate that you can pass that class because math is a foundation of business, and then you're going to be ready to be admitted. So what are your application requirements? The application process requires that we receive all official college and high school transcripts delivered directly to UW-Madison from your previous institution. So that means not coming to you and then you email it to us. But it actually, there's very specific directions for how you get that here. You can work with your enrollment coach if there's any concerns. I know sometimes we've heard maybe your school has closed or and you're an international student. We'll work with you. We'll help you work with our admissions team to come up with a plan for getting those transcripts here. In addition to those official high school and college transcripts, we'll also need to see this short essay. And the essay is going to ask you why UW-Madison, why do you want to be online, and why do you want that specific program? We're looking for somewhere around a half a page up to a page, no more than that. We're also going to be looking for a letter of recommendation from an instructor or an employer. You could imagine if you're currently enrolled, we'd love to see that be from an instructor. But some of us take a break from school for quite a while. So a current employer or more recent employer also could fill that requirement. When you're doing the application, you're going to put that letter of recommendation under academic, whether or not that's an employer or an instructor. We also have the $70 application fee, but as I mentioned before, and I'll continue to remind you, meet with your coach. Your coach is key to your success in this process. That coach can give you an application fee waiver. They can also best advise you as to when the next application deadlines are. They can answer your questions about the program. We can help you plan for courses that you're going to take at your current institution to make sure that every single course that you take transfers in. All right, let's go a little bit more in depth. I feel like a broken record when I say this. Meet with your coach. Talk to your coach about an application fee waiver. That when you look at your college transcripts, be sure that they are sent directly to us. Super key. Don't mail it to yourself and then open it and then try to bring it into our office. If you're, like I mentioned, if you have any concerns about something with your transcripts, talk to your coach. We love helping students. We talk about the concept of filling somebody's bucket. It fills our bucket to help you. Everyone on our team gets great joy out of helping you through your individual circumstances and really seeing you as an individual person. As you're looking for those college transcripts, the first step is look at your previous institution's registrar website. That will have instructions for specifically how they send transcripts to other schools. Typically, there's a nominal fee that's included in that. We usually see that be less than $20 per transcript. Those official high school transcripts. So you're going to go directly to your previous high school and see what process they use. Some of them mail, some of them are using like a sending tool like Parchment. But the key is all of these transcripts should be sent to our Office of Admissions and Recruitment. Please do not send it in and attach it to your Common App. If you attach it into the Common App, it does not make it to us. So super important to follow the directions that send it directly to the University of Wisconsin-Madison Office of Admissions and Recruitment. I mentioned already in the essay, short, sweet, 3 parts we want. Tell us why you want to attend UW-Madison. Tell us why you want to study online. And please explain why you're interested in this specific degree program. We don't want to see more than 2,000 characters. It's really good to do an outline of what you want to include, make sure it's personal to you, and then also take time once you've written it, like set it down, come back to it a day or two later, have other people read it, have other people proof it. If you have questions, please talk with your enrollment coach. They're happy to take a look at your essay, give you any tips. Our number one tip is like tell us about you and your unique story. If there's something that happened in your past that maybe shows up on your transcript, take a second to tell us about it. Um, we want to help you. We want to make sure that you're able to get into UW-Madison without having to go through a bunch of additional hoops. So just make that time up front to meet with your enrollment coach. On the letter of recommendation, I mentioned this. If you've been at school at any point in the last 3 years, it's highly recommended that you reach out to a former academic advisor or an instructor. Your recommender needs to be able to speak to your ability to be successful as a student at UW-Madison. If you've been out of school for a while, talk to a manager, a supervisor, a coworker. I've worked with plenty of students who, maybe been a homemaker for a while. Maybe you do some volunteer work, or you've, been on a board, or it could be somebody who's seen you in that capacity. But they're going to be we are going to be looking for your letter to speak to your competency in the workplace or in the volunteer opportunities that you've had, and really seeing that they feel that you can be successful with UW Madison Online. They might mention things like they always meet their deadlines, they're always on time, they're very thoughtful, they're very innovative, they're a problem solver. Looking for that kind of thing that's going to demonstrate that you're ready to be a student. And then a reminder in the application, no matter who your recommender is or how you know them, we've got to have somebody listed under that academic reference. So even if it's your employer, when you go into the application, you're going to put that under the academic reference section. Um, I'd also One key thing we find is like make sure you reach out to your recommender early. So don't start the application the day of the deadline. That doesn't give your recommender time to do any sort of thoughtful conversation with you or thoughtful um, composition of what your recommendation letter is going to look like. The other piece I would say is like give them a deadline. Highly, highly recommend giving your recommender a deadline. Typically, we tell students give them a deadline that's 2 weeks ahead of when it actually has to be here because all materials have to be here by the deadline for your term of interest. So when you're in the application, you're going to use the Common App for transfer, and you can see the tabs here where you have home, questions, documents, and then recommendations. And you can see at the bottom where we've got that academic reference. That's the only one that's required. See, there's 0 required for all the other areas. You are certainly welcome to add somebody in. However, we just need that one academic. I've had students ask like, "Oh, could I include my high school guidance counselor?" For sure. Just make sure instead of putting it under high school official, put it under academic. So when can you apply? There's almost always an application open. To ensure that your application is reviewed, you're going to work with your enrollment coach to plan your application completion strategy. Typically, we encourage students to start about 6 weeks prior to the deadline to give you some time to get all the transcripts in, to get your letter of recommendation in, and like keep it from being a stressful process. It allows us to work together. We can review your essay then. We want to help you. We love helping students. Um, as soon as we have all of the materials in, and the materials do have to be in by the deadline that you see on your screen. Typically, you're going to hear within 2 to 3 business days whether or not you've been accepted or postponed. And remember, postpone is just our way of saying we see potential in you. We think you can do this, but here's what we need you to do. Maybe it's completing a course. Maybe you don't have 12 credits after you finished high school. But those are the kinds of things that our admissions team is going to be helping you think about when they provide you that letter of postponement. Or you're going to find out that you're admitted, which is super exciting. Our classes are offered in 8-week sessions. So you're going to want to work with your enrollment coach to determine which is the best deadline in order for you to start during the month that you plan to start. You can visit our website at any time to see what the upcoming application deadline dates and additional information might be related to your specific term of interest. All right, now how do we apply? UW-Madison online application is a completely different application than the on-campus transfer application. They also have different deadlines. So when you're looking to apply to our online program, which is the only program we're talking about today, you're going to use the Common App for transfer. So you're going to go to online.wisc.edu. You're going to click on this admissions tab, as you can see here, and then you're going to click on how to apply. Again, that's on our website, online.wisc.edu. You're going to click on admissions, and then you're going to click on how to apply. So differences, online versus on campus. The deadlines are different. The application requirements are different. The applications are even different. Students should determine which modality you want before you do an application. They're two different places, so it's super important that you've confirmed those deadlines and which application. If you want to be on campus, or maybe you're thinking hybrid where you'd like some of your courses online, some of your courses to be face to face, you should apply as a face to face student. If you apply to the online program, every course will be 100% online. And students are unable to apply to both. So I have some students say, well, I really want to be on campus, but like being online is my backup plan. Doesn't work that way. You can only apply for one program during the same term. So you could apply to be on campus for fall, do that application super early, and then if you find out you didn't get in to on campus, you could do the summer prior or the spring after as an application to the online program. If you do accidentally, and this happens, right, where you think you want one, and maybe you submit on campus and then you really want to be considered for online, let us know. So that way we can work with admissions for what your best next steps are going to be. Everyone at UW-Madison wants to help you be successful, and we want to make sure you're in the right program. I also get asked frequently, like, well, what if I apply online and then later on I want to be on campus? You're kind of one or the other. And so if you apply to be online, it's really not like what some would call the back door to get to the on-campus degrees. Um, there are some ways if you were an on-campus student and life happens and something, means that you're not going to be able to complete the program on campus, there is a way to work with an academic advisor to see if you'd be eligible to then switch into the online, but you cannot go from online to on campus. I feel like I just keep saying this, work with your enrollment coach. They're friendly, they're knowledgeable. If we don't know the answer, we at least can get you an answer. We can find the answer. We can talk about initial financial aid options. We have a person in financial aid dedicated to our team. So when you have complicated questions, we've got a person that we can sit down with and they can answer your questions. We can help you with the application. Maybe you don't know exactly how your credits are going to transfer. We can take that time. We can do an unofficial credit eval. We can look at what courses maybe you want to take in future terms at your current institution as you plan for UW-Madison online as your eventual final step in your undergraduate pathway. Also, like as you're considering maybe several programs, we can help you determine whether or not our program is going to be a good fit. And we joke all the time, like sometimes we feel like we're the number one enrollment coaches for all the other institutions in Wisconsin. If we don't have a program that works for you, we're going to help you find a program that on another campus within the universities of Wisconsin that would be a good fit. I mentioned the unofficial credit evaluations. Maybe you want to know whether or not you're eligible to be admitted right now. We can certainly do unofficial eligibility reviews as well. And then again, we offer that application fee waiver. So it's worth a short phone call with our team in order to get that $70 application fee waiver. Well, thanks for joining us today. Here's our general contact information. So if you have additional questions, please feel free to send them to us. Our goal, like I mentioned, is really to be helpful to you.